Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Alternative Dudes
Hello?
podcast for the first time in almost a year. Yeah, sorry about that. Long story short, we've just been really busy, and we've. Okay, I'm gonna start that over.
It's all
Sorry.
good, dude. I was just like in
All
the
right.
background, like, hello.
Yeah, because you can just cut
No, you
all
got
that
this. And
stuff
then I'll just
out.
pop in. Yeah, no worries.
All right. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Alternative Dudes podcast. Our first episode in almost a year. Funny story about that. The reason we've been out of the loop for a while is just we've been like so busy with all of our personal projects and stuff, as you know. And another part of the reason why is that we just felt like it was time to retool the format of the
Yeah.
show. So Jebb, you can go a little bit
Yeah,
into that if you want.
we were talking about how we used to we did the Solid States Posies episode with doing the whole album. We decided we'd rather focus more on the interviews of the artists 'cause it's a lot more fun. And we've had such a good time with Arthur and the Ken and all of them. And then we're like, so we're trying to reach out to other artists as well. And in this episode that you'll be checking out after, of course, having this little intro here, you'll see that we're kind of reaching out to the artists, and it's amazing. So I'd rather do that than the album stuff. But if we ever do decide to do it again, we'll be reworking it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because basically part of the problem was we wanted to do the album reviews. It's just that our schedules just really did not allow for
Yeah,
it at all,
exactly.
especially considering how much time we would have put into it and everything.
I got a lot of
So
band
we just
stuff.
felt it would be easier to just do interviews from now
Yeah.
on. And speaking of interviews, I have a new podcast called Not Another Interview Show
Check it out.
where it's basically just a secondary podcast where it's not really so much music related as it is like things regarding my interests, such as like film, TV, other kinds of media. So yeah, just got a lot of plans for that. So look out for more episodes of that in the future.
All right.
And what about you, Jebb?
I
What have
also
you been up
got one,
to?
but mine's more of a just kind of a joke one that it's not really as serious. And Tyler Juice is amazing. Checked out the first episode, really enjoyed it. And but mine, on the other hand, it's a live stream on Twitch. I do a little radio show beforehand. I play Dave Tolar's music, Arthur Roberts' music, and stuff like just to get artists out there. But then around the 6 o'clock mark of 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, my buddies and I off my Discord server decide to I guess talk about anything we want to do, but we usually never script them, so it's just pure madness. So some days it's really fun if the audience is there, and some days it's more I just grab my guitar and just play. So it's a mix of everything, but it's still something.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So with that in mind, this is our interview with Ben and Caitlyn of Homestead Collective.
Be awesome.
Enjoy, everybody, and welcome to the Alternative Dudes podcast. I have with me my buddy Jebb, and also say your names.
I'm Caitlyn
And Ben?
from Homestead Collective.
All right. Welcome to the show,
Yeah, welcome
guys.
to the
So, okay. So let's start this off. So how did you guys get started with music?
Well, I grew up with music in my house for a long time. I took piano for 10 years. My parents had me take lessons. And then I started writing songs on guitar in high school. And since then, I have just always loved music and played music and enjoyed writing songs. So I have a big
Okay.
background in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a rule in my house growing up that I had to learn piano. Like that was just part of growing up. You learn an instrument, and I hated it a whole lot. Then I switched to guitar. Also hated that. I found out I didn't. What I hated was taking lessons. It wasn't the music or the instrument itself. And then I just kept at it, and 15 years later, I'm still playing music.
There you go.
Okay, that's cool. Nice. And we know how that turned out for you guys.
So far, so good.
So, and that kind of leads into the next question. How did you guys start Homestead Collective off?
Well, we've been playing music together for, I guess it's about 7 years now.
7 or 8.
7 or 8.
Wow.
We've been playing in different projects. We were in a high school worship band at the church we were at. And then in college, we started a 5-piece band called Sunday Muse. and we were in that together for about 3 years. And then that disbanded, and we started Homestead Collective as a duo project and a community organization 2 years ago. So, yeah, that's been a long time coming, but we've just switched that over, and now we're full speed ahead with that. So, yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
It's really cool, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys already have a couple like EPs out and stuff. Can you talk about those a bit?
Yeah, we did a 6-track EP. Well, it was originally a 4-track EP, and then we just added 2 songs of all original music, and that's like a year and a half, 2 years old now.
Almost 2 years. May of 2017 we released
awesome.
that. So
Yeah, I can't even remember.
Yeah.
And then we did a single about a year ago,
Mhm.
and a Christmas EP, a 5-track Christmas EP down in Nashville, which is a really fun experience to do pretty much everything, all 5 songs in 2 days.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was
And you
pretty fun.
and this is a good time for a plug right here. You did that with a good a good friend of well, I shouldn't say a good friend of mine, like, because you guys know him better than I do. But you recorded with Joe Gilder of Homestead.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
he actually, he reached out to us, I'm pretty sure.
Mhm.
He just wanted to do some
That's
kind of
really
work.
cool.
And it was,
Nice.
he reached out in November. And we figured if it's November, we already had our previous EP, so we didn't have a whole lot of original music to record at the time. So because Christmas was coming up, we figured we'll put a few Christmas songs together and just make a fun little Christmas EP.
Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really cool hanging out with Joe for a few days, and he's such a fun guy to be around.
Yeah.
And he's also obviously great at what he does.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So yeah,
For
it was a blast.
those who don't know, Joe Gilder is a songwriter / musician / producer who
A little bit of
makes
everything.
videos on YouTube, which are basically just tutorials for, for mixing and producing and stuff like that. Highly recommended. And yeah, so have you guys like spent time in Nashville, like, before all that, like,
Yeah, we went October of 2016 was our first time that we ventured down there. We were there for 5 days. We had an Airbnb, and we just like
Hung
moseyed
out.
around. We didn't know very many people. We knew Joe at the time because he mixed and produced one of our singles with our previous band at the time. So he had that. So we got to go over to his previous studio and watch him do his thing.
Yeah, just hang out a bit.
With it and hang out. And then, that next February, I went down to Nashville for a couple months, and I was living there, just kind of absorbing and making friends and stuff. And then Ben came down for a bit and shadowed Joe.
Yeah, real
the
quick.
studio.
Yeah, story on that. Caitlyn was living in Nashville for a couple months, and she ran into Joe at a house show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, ran into Joe at a house show, was talking to him, dropped my name, saying that I'm getting into like recording and everything, and Joe said it would be awesome if I hung out with him for a week or whatever. So Caitlyn told me that night that she had that conversation, and literally the next day I booked a flight, and then I flew down on like a Tuesday, I think. Yeah, I think I flew down on a Tuesday and just hung out with Joe in his studio for the rest of the week. And then he was actually working on one of his acoustic EPs. So I literally just got to hang out in his studio and kind of shadow him, like a small internship almost, while Caitlyn was doing whatever she was doing. And so, yeah, I had a blast doing that. It was great.
Yeah, it's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Since then, we've been back to Nashville touring. Last May, we were there for a little bit.
Nice.
And then we're hoping to go back this fall. Not exactly sure when yet, but brainstorming some stuff. So we'll see. We love it there. It's a great
Yeah.
city.
Yeah.
Definitely worth
totally.
visiting.
Yeah, and
Do you guys have any plans to go back, or?
Yeah, I mean, we're brainstorming what touring would look like in the fall, and what we could possibly do another project with Joe, and or play a couple shows down there. So
we're
we'll
trying
see.
to get out to Missouri.
Yeah,
That's
my
like
mom
our
is
end
my
game.
mom is out in
Yeah.
Missouri, so
So
we're trying to go visit her.
Yeah, string some gigs together.
And put some gigs together on our way out there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you guys are finding like a lot of ways to diversify and just put yourselves out there, which is like really great. Like that's one of the questions we were about to ask is how did you guys go about like finding the fan base that you have now and putting yourselves out there?
Yeah, that's a
Ooh.
question for Caitlyn because she's really good at it, and I'm just kind of here.
not true. I think that we each have our own unique gifts to bring to the table. So that's what, it's very versatile. But yeah, I mean, Homestead is not just us playing shows and recording music. We also love to build community and find out what that looks like, whether it be hosting events, whether it be putting together workshops, songwriting retreats, different things that bring together not just music, but people who love music and also art, like all different forms of art. So we host monthly gatherings at the house that we're at that include potluck and creative sharing time. So we've had artists and poets and musicians and writers, really all kinds of things come through, and it be a safe and supportive group of people to build with and share with. And we, as of this year, this will be our second season for spring and summer, but we're hosting backyard concerts every month. And they're basically bring your own lawn chair or blanket and $10 at the door. And we have 2 different artists per.
Bring snacks.
Yeah, bring your own. Yeah, we provide snacks too. But yeah, they're 2 artists per show.
That's awesome.
And we've got them all booked from May through August this year. So
yeah,
we're excited.
Yeah, it's a really cool development, I think, for us, because last season being our first, like it was a brand new thing. So like no one knew what it was. So we reached out to every artist that played. We asked a whole bunch of people, do you want to play in our backyard this summer?
That's awesome.
And it went really well. And the cool thing for this season is that we added a date, like an extra show. We're planning on 4 months instead of 3. And we also had artists reaching out to us to because they want to play in our backyard, because we're just putting the effort into creating an environment and just like a space that people can enjoy music, but also the artists can be treated well and have a good experience.
Because it's tough, it's tough trying to get yourself out there. And then when you finally get to that point where it's like you're able to give back, it's like that's what you want to do. You really want to kind of hold on to that, which is awesome.
Yeah, we love that aspect of just the community.
Yeah. So the fan base question, I mean, all circles back around to, I guess, both sides of. I was just talking to somebody yesterday about like how I think it's neat that we're on kind of both sides, or at least trying to put forth both sides of, you can go out and play shows and draw community in that way because you get to meet other artists and other people who are listening to music, but you're also drawing people in to this house, honestly, like through the different events and workshops and community-based things that we are hosting. So it's a lot of different people, and they hear about it. Word of mouth is really valuable and really essential because social media doesn't always hit every mark. But if you're telling people word of mouth, people like to come back. So yeah,
it's like
which is true because. For those who don't know, besides the many mutual friends that we both have, part of how I met you guys was like only a few months ago through the gatherings. Like we've known each other like through Facebook for like a year prior, but we didn't like really meet until like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, Ben and Caitlyn are based in Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania, which is a good 15-minute drive from where I am. So if you're ever in the Philly area, then please just come check them out and just hang out with us if you guys ever do like a if you guys are ever in town for like, you know, any of the gatherings or any of the garden shows going on in the
Now you
future.
gotta come down.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Come on down.
Everyone's
Definitely.
welcome.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Where
welcome.
are you at, Jeb?
I'm from Connecticut, so up in north more.
Wow.
Yeah, just been us. So the reason why this is our first comeback Alternative Dudes podcast. We had like the Posies on there and all that stuff too, but we finally came back.
One of the Posies at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ken and then Arthur too, the ex-Posey. But a reason why we like going, we're both musicians. I'm as well, and I recently left my band, then came up with my other band, and we just made a folk rock duo, and we're starting to be blues rock, the two of us, and we're starting to kind of get a lot of hoping. So I'm hoping to travel. That'd be great. That'd be what we want to come true. Yeah. So I'll have to stop by.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the garden room shows, are there like any, is there like anything you can say about like who's going to be playing the shows there? Or?
Artists will be announced soon.
Ooh,
we just
okay,
released
all right.
all the
Guys.
dates.
Awesome.
But yeah, expect our first one in May 18th, and it'll definitely be more geared towards some bluegrass, bluegrass
Sweet.
feel. So yeah, one more bluegrassy, and the other one I think is a family band. So yeah, they're really cool too. Yeah,
We've never met this other band, so
Yeah,
we're excited to meet them.
yeah.
Yeah.
They found us somehow. So
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Maybe it's
keep
the
an eye
Partridge
out.
Family. They're coming back.
That would,
I'm just messing. That's
that
cool.
would be so much.
That's awesome. Yeah.
All right. So so let's talk about like the songwriting side of things for a second. Where do you guys find your inspiration for your songwriting? Like how do you guys go about like, you know, bouncing ideas off of each other?
I'm gonna take it.
I think this is a question you
It's
can run with.
it's a free for all. Anybody can say what they have to say, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So I generally draw my inspiration from, I mean, it sounds cliche, but just life experience. I love being in nature, so the earth and people, people's stories. I love the challenge of writing from other people's perspectives, and then own personal experience. I think that one major theme that I love to draw through all my songs is just the that everybody experiences pain and loss and brokenness, but we also all crave love and belonging, and those are common themes that no matter who you are, where you're at in your life, people can relate to, and drawing through that, just a sense of hope and redemption and healing. That's addressing all of those things. So that's where lyrically I think I find a lot of words. Musically, I'd say, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I don't touch lyrics, but my writing, I mean, a lot of like inspiration behind it, I mean, just comes from sitting down and like loving to play guitar and playing for hours on end. And I mean, I always have like a lot of musical influences, and that's always changing too. You know, I'm always looking for like new people to listen to, new guitar players. But as far as writing, it's hard to say like one specific, or not one specific, but like a specific influence that I would have when I write. It's more so just sitting down with the guitar, and then if I play something that I like the sound of, then I work with it and see if I can go from there.
Yeah, it's good. That's totally a really good thing that you guys have that, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeb, do you have any?
Yeah, I actually got a couple. Here we go.
Sweet.
Since you just said you have like a lot of artists that you kind of switch on and off between, like what artists like do you seem like to solidly always go back to, or like a certain like artist that you always like, this is my favorite?
Well, I've always listened to John Mayer. Or like that's always been like an artist. Like anytime he comes out with something new, I always have to check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally
definitely
just came out with a song a few days ago. Lately, I've been into a lot more bluegrassy kind of stuff. So Nickel Creek has always been a big influence on my playing, just because I love bluegrass. And it's something that like I grew up listening to, Then I stopped. I was in high school trying to get into like the rock stuff. But now I'm back into listening to Nickel Creek, and they blow my mind every time I listen to them.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah, like it's great that you like what you like, because I think everybody likes a little bit of everything, and
Then you go back and forth.
they just always just tend to like lean against this one thing that they're always like super into and stuff like that.
There's so much good music out there.
It's too much. There's too much.
You just have to, just try everything out.
Yeah.
Don't not listen to something just because of the name of the genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Like I recently found myself getting bigger into country, where before I was like, I'm a rock guy, I don't want to touch that. And then now I'm doing blues, and I love folk. I'm a big Bob Dylan fan. There's a lot of country artists that kind of mix that folk rock, and I'm like, that's what I want. I want Toad the Wet Sprocket, but a little more country.
Yeah.
I love them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of like in the same boat as Jebb, because like going back to Joe Gilder for a second, like he's getting me into like all these country bands that we mix and like dueling mixes, and it's like it's like fun. Like I never thought I would like be into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, here I am. So
You never know until you try.
I think picking up my Martin guitar was what caused me to go back to like country and acoustic folk.
No,
because I
that'll
bought
do
that guitar and I'm like, it told me what genres I need to listen to now.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yes.
We do play
Sweet.
Taylor guitars, so
Oh,
yeah, we're
those are they're very nice too.
we're on the other side.
Yeah, I
of
know.
Martin.
I play Gibson Electric. I don't know if you guys play Fender.
I have a Gibson.
Okay, there we go.
We're fine.
There we go. Yeah.
That's what we need to do. We need to get Jebb up to Philly so we can get him to one of these gatherings.
Yeah.
I'm definitely down for that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jebb and
Come on
Slim,
down.
both of us will come up.
Cool.
But yeah. Another question for you guys. Actually, no, I think of one. I had it in my head and I'm lost it in my tongue. But so yeah, Caitlyn, what are your band influences actually, like artists and all that too?
Right now I've been listening to a lot of Maggie Rogers. She's more in the kind of indie pop realm, but she has some folk influences. Her voice is very folkish. So she's been like hitting the charts. She just came out with a new album in January. That her and other female artists I'm actually like starting to listen to, which Ben might not even know this, but Casey Musgraves and Brandi Carlile also have like
You're listening to
big.
Brandi Carlile?
They have, yeah, they have
You
some
hated
big.
that one
yeah,
song I kept playing.
I know. I don't like that song, but there are other ones.
Okay, in Caitlin's defense, Brandi Carlile is the shit.
Yeah, she won a Grammy, I think, this year for best album or best artist.
Oh,
I
that's
don't
awesome.
remember.
Yeah, something like that.
And my other like go-to, he's kind of under the radar, but his name is Tyson Motzenbacher, and he is from San Diego, and he's a folk singer-songwriter guy. He's come out with a couple albums, and his songwriting is really impactful to me. So yeah, I love it.
For those that are listening to the audio, we're not laughing at the choice. Ben the way Ben reacted was great.
Yeah.
I knew she was gonna say it.
Yeah.
I stopped listening to Tyson Motzenbacher because Caitlyn listened to so much Tyson Motzenbacher that I don't feel like I need to listen on my own anymore, because I just know that
Because at some point I'll
sitting
be
in the
playing
car,
it. Yeah.
it'll be on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I saw it.
I love it.
Hey Tyler, you played with these guys, right? So I want to hear about.
Yeah, I
want
was
to share
actually going
that.
to say when
Mention
Ben brought up John Mayer, I was going to say that we actually, the first time I hung out with them, we actually played a couple of John Mayer tunes, I think.
What's that?
You remember that?
Not really.
We did, cause I'm trying to remember, we did Something Like Olivia.
Oh shoot! Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Casey was.
Oh yeah.
Was there? Yeah.
Yep.
It's probably because I was playing the bass. I just never remember when I played the bass. Just.
Yeah, because I was on the tom and shit. It was
Yeah.
like, so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I remember.
Little jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time I played bass with people in such a long time, and I forgot how fun it is.
Bass is awesome.
Such a
Man.
fun instrument.
I picked it up yesterday. I was with a session with my with Jebb and Slim's, my acoustic thing, and I was just like, we're at the house. I'm like, all right, I'm grabbing the bass, and I was just playing blues, and I was like, oh, it's so much fun. You just sit there, you could zone out, and all you know is you need to know where your fingering is.
Yeah, I'm
great.
a fan. It's a very underrated, underappreciated instrument.
Yeah,
I feel. No love.
Sometimes, some of like the Who, John Entwistle from the Who is like one of the best to be like, yeah, underrated, but that guy could play.
Yeah.
Oh God, totally.
Monster.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, especially if you've ever like listened to all like isolated tracks, like they're like,
it's crazy.
like the precision he has when you like listen to like what he's doing in solo is like incredible.
Yeah. I recently did that. I listened to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Ooh, yeah.
All the tracks for that. Some guy in some studio sitting with Brian May, and it's wild.
Yeah, that
like,
video, yeah.
It's crazy.
However many years that is. Was that recorded in like the 70s? I think it's the 70s.
Yeah, 70s.
Yeah.
It's like 75, 76.
I think so, yeah.
All right. It's like because they didn't have the technology we have today, and
No, we look back like, we could have done that. They
editing
didn't have it
processing.
back then. Yeah.
right, yeah.
I look at the
It's
Beatles and all the
impressive.
stuff they did is insane because you look at the timing. You're like, how did they? Apple Studios had all this stuff that like nowadays we wish we still had, kind of thing. Cause
Yeah,
it's
and mind
incredible.
you, like that was all shit that was on like 4 tracks and 8
Exactly.
tracks. Like, you know,
And like brand
like-
new then.
it's incredible.
Nowadays, it's like we can't even replicate that. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Well, Tyler, you want to continue any more questions or?
I don't know. Let's see. All right. So actually, you guys spent a little bit of time last week in Guatemala.
Yeah.
What was that about?
Yeah, so we partner with a nonprofit organization called Food for the Hungry, and they mainly work with child sponsorships in 16 different countries, but they also do a lot of community rebuilding through fighting malnutrition in kids, agriculture, education, and just a lot of community leadership. So they basically have their indie artists such as us go out for, I guess this was our first time, but they take a yearly trip and they
To one of their 16 countries, yeah.
and so we got to go to Guatemala because we sponsor a kid in Guatemala.
that's
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
we got to meet him while we were out there in person, and it was just amazing. We flew in on a Sunday, and Monday we visited one community, really in the mountains, just very, very remote. And then we actually got to meet our sponsor kid. He's actually a teenager. He's not really a kid. He's
That's
16.
awesome.
He just turned 16.
He just turned 16, and he actually lives 5 hours from where we were staying, which was 5 hours north of Guatemala City. So we were like in the middle of nowhere, but he and his mom drove from his house
FH,
to
Food for the Hungry was able
FH's
to
office. So
yeah, Food for the Hungry was able to get a driver, I guess, to take the two of them, which is super special. Because we weren't even sure if they would be able to make that happen. So when we found out that we were able to meet the kid that we've been, communicating with through letters and sponsoring
awesome.
for however long it's been.
It's
Yeah, we're just
it's
really
amazing.
excited.
yeah.
How long's the sponsorship been going on for?
Not a super long time.
September.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super long,
Okay,
but
cool.
yeah. So it's really a special thing. And yeah, FH is just doing a lot to help the communities within, specific families, and child sponsorship is a piece of how I feel like us as Americans, these communities that we were visiting, it was the first time they'd ever seen American people in their communities.
Oh wow.
So it was a big deal. And so it was just really cool. It was an honor really to see and meet them being so generous and hospitable to us. And so the child sponsorships that FH provides as opportunities for me and Ben, for anybody here in the U.S. is just a big deal and a big piece to what they're trying to implement into these communities. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And this is
incredible. Yeah.
Is this strictly for musicians, or is it just for anybody?
It's for anyone who wants to sponsor a child, and they can go online to fh.org or to our website, homesteadcollective.net
Or see us at a show.
/page FH, or at our shows. And just as us, we're part of their indie artist roster. So we basically get to, at our shows when we feel appropriate, we get to talk about what FH is doing and encourage and invite people to sponsor a kid. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we'll totally put links in the description below.
Awesome.
Yeah,
for all
definitely.
of that. Like,
If you
for
guys
everybody,
have
so-
anything you want to link, let us know because we'll put it down in the description for you guys. You guys have a Patreon too, right? You guys have that going on too?
Sure
You guys
do.
definitely more welcome mentioning that.
yeah,
too.
let's talk about that. So what do you guys do at your Patreon?
So Patreon we launched a year ago, and it has been an interesting ride so far. We I would say we've only actually consistently created content for it in the last few months.
Yeah, really 2019.
Yeah,
This year.
2019.
Okay.
And we've just been building up a really cool community through that. It's, if anyone doesn't know what Patreon is, it's a platform for creatives to get paid, pretty much, in exchange for exclusive content or creative content. In which, if you're a patron to that artist, then you get to see some, cool content.
Like exclusive stuff that anyone on the outside might not get to see.
Yeah.
It's
Creates like a
it's
community.
it's kind of like Patreon. From what I understand, it's kind of like the fight against just like the way digital media has been going, with now like streaming services where artists get paid 0.006 cents or something per listen, and you get like 1 million streams and you get a few $100 or whatever, So this is a way to it's a way to help artists create a more sustainable living. Lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And and I think it also helps too with people recognizing the value, because like streaming services, they've kind of devalued music, because now on Spotify you pay $10 a month, which is like hardly anything, and you have like every song that's ever been recorded at your disposal.
And
Basically.
Yeah, so people are kind of losing the value of like what a song is worth.
Well, it's also
so accessible
the
now.
going out, like, cause I'm a record collector. I have over like a lot. I have a huge collection. You see in the background here, but
oh wow,
and it's something that
he has a bigger collection than I do.
I enjoy going to the record store still, and these older guys, they see young kids like me walk in with my dad, who's 63, but walk in and we're going to the record store, and they're like, they expect I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm actually very careful and all this, but there's a friendship, there's magical behind buying a record and people talking about that record and people communicating. That's why like when like us are like I just made a bunch of CDs of our new album, and I'm just sitting there like I'm ready to give them out for free, because it's the community that you're trying to start, because you can make money a little bit later, but it's just like but you need it to continue going. And I know Patreon does that for a lot of artists to be able to keep going, because it's extremely important to you need funds to still make it. It's not about making money, it's just funds to make enough to keep going and hopefully make some money so we could keep
And it's a good way to
definitely
put together like a little bit of a fan base too,
definitely, because you're more humble and with your fans, and more like they really probably appreciate having this Patreon, that they feel special, that they can pay that $1 or whatever they pay to get into the thing, and now they have something special with you guys to communicate and to watch a video that no one else can see, and that's awesome.
It's very personal.
Exactly. Personal engagement is really special. So we're just continuing to build on that.
There you go.
We're releasing. We reached 40 patrons yesterday, so we are now able to release our next single on Patreon. Nice. So if you're a part of Patreon, we're gonna take a break from. We're gonna take a break from streaming and Spotify and iTunes and all that, and just release music through Patreon.
All right, guys, link down below.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what Bandcamp does in a sense too, for like, but that's not even as personal either, but it's good that like you can go on Bandcamp and buy an actual artist album. They don't have to deal with the record company stuff and all that. Because that's why I like running an indie label with my cousin. We run like a nice like promotional page thing for artists that are really kind of like really starting out, and they don't have to pay anything. They just tell us, hey, we want to go on the website. I'm like, yeah, come on up. And then
That's awesome.
They can link all their stuff. It's just a free link hug, really. It's like using YouTube.
Yeah, and let's not get into what Pledge Music has been up to lately.
Oh
yeah,
no.
We just recently were the Posies campaign on there, and we got all our items. Did you get all yours, Tyler? All the items from the
I have.
So we got all our items, but some people weren't lucky. They took forever. And then now what Pledge has been doing, it's like I don't want to support it. I don't want to use them anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not just that.
Yeah.
It's like a whole like snafu with like a bunch of other bands and artists that are like not like having their fulfillments go through and shit. It's like really depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, we heard some sad stories.
Yeah.
Behind that.
Other bands that we know. So.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. It's been.
Yeah. Some bands get lucky because I know Arthur Roberts was saying that his service provider's band was fine. They did everything all right and they got through. But it's like it ruins the bands because it's not their fault. It's Pledge's fault or whoever else is behind it, and it ruins because the band is the face. So you're like I didn't want to contact them because I knew that they weren't like behind it. But some people like want to contact the band. It's not the band's fault. We're just trying to get the artists to the fans, get them stuffs. But when you're paying like a lot of money for stuff, it gets a little different on level scales. But I feel bad for those artists, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like going back into Patreon, like it's great that you guys are finding like a really great and creative alternative to like the kind of stuff. Like, you know, like there's people I've seen who use like Patreon to just use like to just like give off the like basic we'll say your name in a video, which is that's not bad. That's a good thing. But like, you know,
it's fun.
Like using it to like, you know, like solely as a platform to like release your music, I think it's really genius, and like I think a lot of bands should be doing more of that.
I actually, thanks to you guys right now, I may look into doing, because I wasn't like, I'm unsure about these things starting out, but I was looking into either doing like both that and Bandcamp and kind of, I want to say screw the distributor, because I want to be the guy to hand out the music, or the guy to, because I feel like when you do it digitally, there's no soul to it. There's just, hey, here's an MP3. Like, yeah, they're getting the music, but then then there's a whole other story of pirating, but that's the whole other story. But there's just, it's so much, you know. I'd rather just have something like that where they can't download it. You know, you're actually selling it to a person that wants to hear it. You know,
yeah, it's like that personal relationship.
Yeah,
which is really fun.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we're always kind of brainstorming to just, with really everything that we're doing, but specifically Patreon, just like new ways, like new content that we can create. You know,
that's so cool.
Just trying to find like, what can we give that people want?
Yeah.
And just always asking that question.
And have fun with it too, which is good.
Yeah.
having fun with it, that's good.
I always think consistency is key. Like, if that's one thing that I've learned through Patreon, and people, you know, like people are more likely to, when they start to, like with anything, but when you have traction, it's because you're being consistent with it and people are seeing it more. And so they're like, oh, they're actually like moving. I want to jump on that train too, because they're moving, you know?
Yeah.
But if it's, you know, once in a while, once every month, and people are like, like, do I really want to like hop on board this vision? But
like, is this working?
So
exactly. Yeah,
and it's great because like not only are you like putting something that your fan base can enjoy and like, you know, crave more, like, you know, like they don't have to wait long for like new music, but like it also like gets you guys like going in terms of creativity, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely holds me accountable to post things too. Because you know that people are not only waiting or, you know, like expecting almost the personal engagement and just you being authentic with them, but they're paying you. So you have to make something that is worth their money and worth their time and worth their spirit.
It's working, but it's fun work. It's the fun side of work. Yeah,
no, definitely.
Because I noticed, like kind of like Tyler's thing with bands, like you know, some of my favorite bands only lasted like 3 years and then they're done. Like a band that I like to listen to is the Waxwings, and they went from being like they just disappeared to like now, like one of them is with Jack White, Don Frati. He's
Nice.
the keyboardist at Queens of the Stone Age, but he was the original singer of this band. But they just disappeared. I was like, okay, so like, and that's past like that's '90s stuff. But nowadays you have these bands that come up with like 1 or 2 EPs and then that's it. And you're like,
Yeah.
where's the album? And I know it's really expensive now that I know it, but there's fans that don't know that. And like, wow, where's the album? I want the album. And it's like, so it's good to be able to engage and keep everybody updated too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being in a band's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were in a 5-piece band, and yeah, I loved playing that music, being in that band. I love it, all the guys, and Caitlyn. But
Aw.
it's just it's hard to get people in one room at the same time, and
Especially when there's
it's a
five.
yeah, and there's a lot of work that like I don't think everyone necessarily realizes to play music with somebody.
Yeah, I was in
Like-
a 3-piece, and the drummer and
Yeah.
and us, we had great times making music. But when it came to the side, I was doing all the business side and all that, and it
Yeah.
drains you down because you're just trying to get out. And then
Right.
if you're not on the same page, you're not making it. So when there's only 2, it works a little bit better because there's like
Yeah.
a point
No,
sometimes.
definitely.
But when
I think
I've noticed
too-
a difference too.
Yeah, like I love one of these quotes, but just like when you say yes to something, you're inadvertently saying no to something else.
Yeah.
So what you choose to do with your time and your life, like those choices have consequences and they also have benefits. So, it's whatever you decide, but if you also need to commit to it if you
Yeah.
are going to be there, So it's hard. Like it's hard to realize those things and like
Mhm.
ask yourself where you want to put your time and your energy and go after it. But also, music as a full-time living is not like something to take lightly either. So
Yeah,
it's like when I think we found that out, like just the hard way through being a band. Like it was so good, and yet there was also so many questions about
Mhm.
where everybody else was headed and what they were going to do with
Yeah.
their lives and choose. So
Yeah.
it was yeah.
But yeah, there's no hard feelings, no ill
Yeah.
will between any of us, though. So
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
yeah, it ended on a good note.
Yeah.
For the
Well, it's
most
like
part.
that movie that Tom Hanks directed and wrote, That Thing You Do, if any of you guys seen that. But it's like a band starting from the beginning, going all the way up, being famous, then splitting, and then all the way at the resolve. And it's a really good movie. It kind of explains. It's a lighthearted movie, but kind of
Sure.
explains in a sense that like back in 1964, it was the same style of things, trying to
Yeah.
go all the way up the charts, back
Yeah.
down, and so it seems like
Right.
time has kind of been the same repeated history.
Yeah.
Look into that. Write that down.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, any more questions?
I mean, I'm all set on my side. You got any more, Tyler?
Not at the moment, no. Okay, so Ben and Caitlyn, thanks so
Yeah.
much for joining us today.
It's incredible. Thank you.
So once again, where can we find your stuff?
You can find us. Our website is homesteadcollective.net. And you can find us on Facebook. Our Instagram is at homestead.collective. Yeah, you can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/homesteadcollective. And yeah, that's pretty much.
We are on
connected.
Spotify. I kind of feel
Oh.
weird saying
Yeah,
that
we just
now
talked
after.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are.
you totally
we
seem
are.
happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not our
So-
new stuff, but we are
Yeah.
there. So
Probably
wherever
actually
you
check
look
you
for
guys
music
out on
and
there since I
iTunes
can
and
do it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sunday Muse, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't
Yes.
forget to check them out too.
Yeah.
Yes. Sunday Muse has 2 singles.
Yeah.
So, yep. And that's
Awesome.
where you can find us. So, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for having
All
us,
right.
guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was all.
Maybe
it was
we'll have
really
you guys come up
awesome,
again. We have like a cool idea kind of planned in the future that's coming up with having a bunch of artists come up and actually talk about favorite bands and stuff. Kind of been like a dream
Yeah.
project.
A round
but-
table.
The round table of artists. So we'll just try to keep everybody in the loop. So it'd be cool.
Cool.
Neat.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
love
So, yeah, it's our Infinity War, if you will.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have maybe Ken or somebody, something like that. That'd be fun.
Uh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually gonna try to get Glenn Phillips up on the show, but I haven't been any luck. I met him once, but I'm trying to from Toad the Wet Sprocket, and I've been trying to get him up. But really nice guy, just haven't had a chance to get him up.
keep trying, I guess.
It should be fun.
Yeah, and if we can, we can definitely try to get Joe on here too.
Yeah, definitely,
Oh yeah, good
some
job.
point.
definitely love to have him up.
All right, so yeah, that's it.
Perfect.
Thank you guys for listening, and have a good one.
Yeah.